And maybe we should talk, Linda, about some things that are happening outstate also, because this isn't limited to the metro area. Outstate, we are having issues with both parents trying to opt out and some of these things you're talking about, the surveys and the testing. That's even some of our administrators don't necessarily know that parents have rights. And maybe they do know and are trying not to allow them to do that. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that with privacy of the person, but at least generally what's happening in some of the outstate areas too.
Well, I'd like to. I'd also like to also mention a couple of other districts here in the metro first.
Okay.
Because this does affect parental rights. We have, by statute here in Minnesota, parents have the rights to guide their children's education.
Right.
And that has always been a fundamental right in America. Education has always been kept local. Well, we have, in Minneapolis, I can just talk to the city of Minneapolis a little bit. Numerous teachers have talked to me in the last few months about what has happened in the Minneapolis schools and the reforms that have gone through, Common Core being one of them, but Common Core being really a disaster for them. And what's happened in a number of elementary schools is they have taken out art, they've taken out music, they've taken out recess has been taken out in a number of schools in the north and central parts of Minneapolis. And now they just have English language arts in the morning, they have math in the afternoon, and maybe they tuck in another little social studies or science lesson at the very end of the day. One teacher said, now recess for us at the end of lunchtime, the children walk out the back door of the cafeteria, walk through a courtyard, and back into their classroom, and that is considered recess.
They got fresh air, right?
And that is absolutely, in my mind, child abuse. To not allow children, young children, to be able to run around and get exercise. I mean, this is what helps the brain to function.
Well, and also physical exercise. If we're worried about healthy eating and exercise and we're taking it out of schools now, isn't that counterproductive?
It doesn't make sense. But this is what's happened with the testing.
Right.
With the over-testing, the teachers probably feel this heavy mandate upon them to keep producing kids who are scoring well on tests.
Well, and back to that, prior to on the left, No Child Left Behind, those how your school was doing determined money and all those types of things. And I'm not sure after this if it's still going to do it lessly, but the stigma, because we rate everything now. We have to have, even though we have participation in all things, when we come to schools, we have to rate them from top to bottom as to how they're doing on these tests, which I think all three of us will agree may not have as much statistical backing as we may have been told, that they're not that able to tell certain things about our students as we may have been told, that they're not very accurate either. But I digress a little bit.
Well, some more parental rights issues, I think. Next is the agenda of AllDay Kindergarten, which is coming to Minnesota and the entire nation. Traditionally, parents and children, they've been allowed to go to half-day. They've had the half-day option for kindergarten. Some parents may not feel, the parents in MAC are probably somewhat divided on this, but all, I believe, would like to see parents have that choice to make.
Option.
Because some children are not ready for all-day kindergarten. The compulsory age in Minnesota is 7 years old. And so children are starting kindergarten at 5, most of them. And really, they don't have to go to school at all until 7. And that compulsory age was started with good reason. They're looking at when cognition comes into play and all those kinds of things. And so to say that if you're going to be in the public school program, you're going to have to do all-day kindergarten, it's very sad. And we've had parents going to school board meetings and without successful results, unfortunately. They've been receiving letters saying that there's going to only be all-day kindergarten in the public schools.
Well, I think we've talked about it before. Is school choice is something that we need more of, not less of. And then also going back to all-day kindergarten, if they have no recess for these 5 and 6 year olds, You know, it's been a while since my children were that, but that I would get down to is, even from a teacher standpoint, is going to be, you need to have those types of,
Right, and
of children.
I would sometimes say that the term school choice is a loaded term.
Oh, yeah.
But we're back to parental rights. We know that out in the Stillwater Public School District, a parent was trying to opt her child out. They attend a charter school, and charters are part owned by corporations and
Yep.
and then also part of the public school district, and those charters have a lot more power in some cases than the public schools do.
Yep.
And that parent was not allowed to opt the child out. They went ahead and gave the child the test anyways, against the mother's wishes, and that was one of the moms that went in and wanted to see the test that her daughter had taken.
Right.
And they said, we've never seen the test. We don't know what's
Take
on
our
the
word
test.
for it, right?
And the test has flown with all the data. It's already left the building, so we can't really get it back. Then in the outstate, we have some of the same issues that we have in the Twin Cities, in the suburban and inner city schools. We have parents that are concerned with the standards themselves,
Right.
the diminishment of chemistry in the science, the fuzzy math. Even though our state did not formally adopt Common Core, we adopted the college and career ready standards as part of No Child Left Behind waiver. But the districts, many of them are still teaching Common Core math, which we know is going to set them behind by 2 years. Over the course, up until 8th grade, they will be 2 years behind. And so most all of those kids will never see calculus or pre-calc, and maybe not even, second year of algebra at the rate that they're going. And other parents have some concerns. Already we hear in certain districts the health standards are being revised with the national sexuality standards. And our group is divided on this. Some parents think, fine, they can teach what they'd like to teach, but other parents feel that young children ought to be able to be young children for a certain amount of time, because these sex standards start in kindergarten. And there are also textbooks that are being written, as they are for all of the subjects, to align with Common Core. They are quite graphic. They show young children in sex acts. And so parents, again, this is a parental right issue, and parents are speaking up and saying, we want to talk to the school boards about this. And so this is one of the things that in MAC we want parents to do. In January, we'd like to see people going out in full force to all of your school boards. If you're not ready to speak yet, if you haven't had the chance to study about Common Core, just go and listen, and you will be astounded at the sorts of things that are going on. If you can speak, go ahead and speak up. In the outstate, we have a lot of people that are just beginning to know about Common Core. Some of them are just hearing about it for the first time, whereas those in the Twin Cities maybe have been hearing about it for a month or two or three. We have a few small school districts where the principal and the superintendent are not wanting an opt-out situation. It's a small town, and they're concerned that if one parent opts out, the entire school is going to opt out, like in New York State, where there have been literally hundreds of children sitting in the cafeteria because their parents are sick and tired of their kids being tested. And again, a lot of parents may not even know that their children are being tested all the time like this.
A lot of them don't know, Linda.
And the kids the children are young. They don't know any better. They're just being put through these hoops all the time. So in that case, those superintendents are actually acting against Minnesota statute, completely against. And
I'll speak real quick.
What's going to happen, I don't know.
To the health portion of these new standards and opting out. I think a lot of families don't know that right now, as it stands in the state of Minnesota, your child does not have to take a health class. You can opt out, and that was something I stumbled across and just asking. I said, well, is this a state requirement in 6th or 7th grade? No, it is not. Oh, well, then guess what? My child's taking a study hall. Where do I sign?
Yeah.
Now, granted, I've had no issues with it, but I know, and we know that there's been a lot of issues in other counties. But parents, hold tight to your rights. You have every right to opt out.
Right.
Every right to opt out. And
No, and I think that's an important issue that not just the testing, but the curriculum. We talked about it a little bit is you do have a right to look at the materials. They are required to provide you, even if you have to go, they're going to make it difficult. They're not going to put it up on their websites, unfortunately.
No. They're
They're going to make you come in and look at the school book or look on the computer because, textbooks are going out. I'm going to date myself a little bit. They can't keep up with the printing of them. They especially in some of these subject matters, history or global studies, the world is changing so much quickly that it's online and supplemental. But it really is important to at least talk to your students and your children to find out what they're doing and you look at their textbooks when they bring them home because I think that's a good start.
There's no textbooks. I can
Okay.
tell you, 8th grade, iPads, and in some districts, kindergarten, they're beginning that. But as a parent, how do you keep up on this technology?
Right.
And as parents, we have to.
And 5 years ago, they would have told us that due to research, children should not be on computers or media of any kind more than 2 hours a day.
Yep.
And now they have done a complete turnaround where they're going to be on computers 7 hours at school.
Yeah, because I know our district started at 5th grade, and they're going to try to get it. It's one iPad or other device. So, well, that half hour has flown by. I appreciate both of you coming. Again, more information. Go out to our website for Minnesotans Against Common Core, and we will have information there. And this will be up also on our YouTube for the Numbers Guy. And thank you very much.